Welcome to the Morning Update. I'm Erin Ramsey. Australia's southeast is bracing for sweltering temperatures as a heatwave continues to move through. The mercury is tipped to reach 14 degrees above average in most cities. Parts of Sydney expected to peak between 32 and 39 degrees today. Victoria is also set to bake with temps forecast for the mid-40s in parts of the state's north and northwest. Yesterday's heat in Adelaide has fuelled a bushfire at Cherry Gardens with a watch and act alert in place. Less than a third of Australians support calls to change the date of Australia Day from January 26. An Ipsos poll shows 28% in favour, 48% opposed and 24% who have no opinion. Support for the change is much higher among young people, with 48% of 18 to 24-year-olds in favour. Prime Minister Scott Morrison will name the Australian of the Year in Canberra tonight. The contenders include former New South Wales Fire Commissioner Shane Fitzsimmons, South Australia's Indigenous rights advocate and AFL exec Tanya Hosh, and West Australian Indigenous doctor Helen Milroy. Mr Morrison will also announce the winners of Young Australian of the Year and Senior Australian of the Year. The British government says tough COVID-19 restrictions will be in place for the long term. Health Secretary Matt Hancock says the new strain of the virus is proving much harder to contain and widespread lockdowns remain the best option.
The lockdown is starting to bring cases down, but we're a long way from that being low enough because the case rate was incredibly high.
And President Joe Biden's nominee for US Health Secretary says the plan to control COVID-19 will work there, but it will take time. Xavier Becerra says the top priority is slowing community transmission of the virus.
It's a rescue plan that should be followed by a recovery plan. But first, you got to rescue the people, you got to rescue the economy, and that's why the president has put forward a bold plan with specifics, and he's going to bring everyone into the game.
To sport now, in Sydney, Big Bash final looks unlikely after both teams had narrow losses overnight. The Adelaide Strikers beat Thunder by 6 runs, while the Hobart Hurricanes beat the Sixers by 7 runs. Hobart scored 8 for 188, thanks to 86 from Matthew Wade and 72 from Darcy Short. Hurricanes are now 5th on the ladder. In rugby, Western Force is hoping the Waratahs and the Reds can travel to Perth for Super Rugby matches without having to quarantine for 14 days. There's speculation the border controls on New South Wales and Queensland will be lifted before the season starts on Feb 19. And in league, fullback Latrell Mitchell will be at South Sydney until the end of 2023. He's agreed to a 2-year contract extension worth $1.75 million. To entertainment, and the trailer has dropped for the upcoming Godzilla vs. Kong film. The mythical creatures will go head-to-head on the big screen in Australia from this May. Larry King's interviews with Meghan Markle have resurfaced following the news of his death. News of the 87-year-old broadcaster's passing emerged over the weekend. Meghan spoke with King before marrying Prince Harry whilst she was still acting on Suits. And that's the latest from the Nova podcast team. We'll have another update for you this afternoon.